Everything important that I know about social media, I learned from my mom, who was born in 1920. Throughout her entire adult life, my mom had this great group of friends called the Club, and they met regularly in each other's homes. And the husbands and the kids would be kicked out. This is my mom right here. And they would share stories and advice and tips over a cup of tea. Probably made their lives better in the long run. Because that relationship, these meetings, continued through the 1970s and the 1980s. My mom, right here, and her friends were able to keep this social event going for decades and hundreds of club meetings because they nurtured that relationship. And social media is like that too. You need a list of friends. You need to nurture those friends by making sure you share news, tips, advice with them on a daily or regular basis. So lesson number 1 in social media, nurture your friends regularly. My mom also taught me the value of telling a good story and stepping out there, not being afraid to tell it. Here she is, dressed up as Lady Baden-Powell on a float in a public parade, telling the good story of the founding of the Girl Guides. Social media is like that. It needs good stories, but it needs stories that I call news they can use. Let me give you an example. If you went to a cafe down the street and you had lunch, that's not that newsworthy. However, if that cafe is donating $1 back to your foundation for every lunch they sell this week, that's news your friends can use on your Facebook, on your Twitter account, on your website. Remember, create news they can use. Maybe it was growing up in the Depression or marrying and having to plan a family during the Second World War. But there was a generation of moms out there that learned waste not, want not. And believe it or not, this applies to social media tools. Once you have a smart and caring story to tell, what you want to do is share the long version with your local newspaper and media, edit that down for the website, edit it down again for Facebook, and make it even shorter for Twitter. So what you're doing is you're recycling, you're re-editing, and you're reusing those stories over and over again. Waste not, want not. Does anybody remember the party line? My mom grew up at a time where if you picked up the phone, there was a good chance your neighbors were on the same line listening. It was called the party line. Social media is a lot like that. Everyone and anyone can see what you're saying or doing. So you want to make sure you can keep it fun, but keep it polite and keep it professional. I know this is all common sense. What it should tell you is that you shouldn't be afraid of social media tools. They are, after all, just a tool, no different than a brochure. The real point is that you still need content. You need smart and caring stories that help feed and drive all those communication tools. And this takes resources. So tip number 5, resource it properly. Make sure you have the volunteers or the staff to keep nurturing the relationships. Because like my mom and the Club, that's the only way to sustain social media tools. And finally, talk with other foundations who are already using social media tools and learn from them. So there you have it, just a few tips from me and my mom.